Oh man. All right. So, yo, what's going on, y'all? We back here at MBS TV headquarters, man. Uh, I am your host. You know, uh, it happened. Man, I can't wait for the season to start, man. I really can't. I really can't wait for the season to start. I did a video covering, LeBron James and Anthony Davis allegedly wanting to team up with Russell Westbrook. So um, let's get into it. They finally made the trade happen. As you guys can see, or they're talking about will it work and everything like that. And with all the superpower, as you guys know, as of right now, everyone is making them favorites. Like if you look at social media and if you look at the media, the way they're portraying this team as they're going to be the heavy favorites as long as they can stay healthy. But that's the point of LeBron James bringing on Russell Westbrook because he doesn't miss games, right? And it's also going to take the load off of LeBron James to where he can um, not load manage, but stat pad. Because LeBron James is going to miss a few games this year. He's older. Same thing with Anthony Davis. He's soft as can be. And there's going to be a few issues with this team. More than just a few issues with this team because they got rid of a lot of the depth on their team and they don't have any more three-point shooters. So we're going to see what happens with this team. As they, this right now is a Nick Wright and these guys. Or as people like to call him, and how I like to call him, Nick Wrong. Because he's never right on his assessments. It's just funny, fat nose ass, toucan ass having ass nigga, toucan nose having ass nigga. Anyway, let's get to the video, man.
All right, let's talk some basketball, guys. The Lakers reported trade for Russell Westbrook, no doubt the biggest blockbuster.
And you hear, Nick Wrong, dick riding already. It sounds like it's Nick Wrong with the. Him banging out. And that's going to bring, Russ going to bring a lot of energy. But once again, he's going to come on the team acting like this is his team. So let's get into it.
Of the offseason thus far. Second time in 3 seasons, the Lakers have gone all in on trading for a superstar. Russ took to social.
Now, you see this? Did you see that little highlight that they showed of Russell Westbrook with him dribble, and him pulling up? They don't respect his jump shot. They were daring him to shoot that jump shot. And a lot of teams are going to dare this man to shoot threes, especially they're going to run a box one at this man, especially the Clippers. Especially the Clippers. They're going to run a box one on this man, and they're going to dare that man to fucking shoot. Every team in the league is going to do that to this man.
Media over the weekend posting this pumped up pic. Haters will probably say it's photoshopped. Captioned it, home team, why not? I don't know. Nick, this trade, Russ to the Lakers.
Oh, I like that, Jenna.
Will it work?
I like that.
Well, I guess we got to define work. I am, I'm on the record that I think the fit is questionable. And we said this before the trade.
It's more than just questionable. It doesn't fit. But once again, this is them trying to cover up for their boo thing. LeBron James. Yeah, it's questionable, but LeBron James is the greatest of all time. And he's the greatest leader. If anyone can make it fit, it's LeBron James. This is going to be the way that they're going to market this team. All right, and they're going to have a lot of high-powered offense because Russell Westbrook is going to, he's a freak of nature, So we're just going to see how the season is going to play out, and I'm going to be here alone the entire season to tell y'all exactly how it's going to go. The Lakers is quickly going to turn into a fucking shit show. Quickly.
Happened, we were talking about potential Lakers off.
And even if Kawhi Leonard, even with Paul George, being the only one that's going to be healthy this season, assuming that he stays healthy, this season, because he has a little bit of issues with staying healthy. So, assuming that even without Kawhi Leonard, the Clippers are still, with Paul George going to be missing a few games, but him being at the helm of this team, they're still going to be the best team in LA, and I can say that for a fact. Even with this team. Even with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Russell Westbrook, the Clippers will still be the best team in LA because they still are the best team in LA. All right, and the Clippers are not my team. I like the Celtics, right? But Kawhi Leonard and these guys have shown that they are the better team than these guys. And Tyronn Lue is the better coach than Frank Vogel. And they go deeper when it comes to the roster as of right now. And they have the same team. They're not getting rid of a lot of their depth. Luke Kennard is still there. And he's shown that even when that man came out of nowhere. When they made that trade for Luke Kennard or when they got him as a free agent, whenever they got him, I think it was late in the season, last season, they got him, or they bought out his contract, if I'm not mistaken. And also, too, because last year they didn't even have Serge Ibaka. So even when Kawhi Leonard was taking over in the playoffs, taking over that Mavs series and that Utah Jazz series, they weren't even 100%. They weren't even 100% healthy because they didn't have Serge Ibaka. So he should be coming back this year. Kawhi Leonard should be coming around maybe late February, maybe around March as well, around the New Year, around the Shabbat. So we'll see what's going on, man. But based off from what I know and from what I see and my understanding of the game and who Russell Westbrook and these guys in the NBA are, the Clippers auxiliary pieces are going to be a better team than the Lakers star players. They may be a game over, but they're going to be the best team in LA. And even if they're a game behind, they're still going to be better because this team is going to have issues even making the playoffs, man. All-Star break, they should be seen to have this team together, or they're going to be expected to have this team together, but it's not going to be together, and it's going to be bad. They're going to be talking about bringing Russell Westbrook off the bench. They're going to be talking about trading this nigga Russell Westbrook. They're going to be talking about how bad this nigga is and how sorry he is, and LeBron James is not going to get any of the blame. So this is why I'm here, and this is why I'm making the videos now. Because when the time comes and the media tries to shift the narrative, we all know that LeBron James wanted this. This is what LeBron James orchestrated. So when this shit falls on his face and it flops, LeBron James is going to have to be the fucking fall guy. But we all know that the fall guy is going to be Russell Westbrook. All right? The fall guy is going to be Russell fucking Westbrook.
Season targets. Obviously, shooting was something the Lakers we thought would prioritize, and Russ does a lot of things really well on the basketball court. Shooting is not one of them. But
And what are some of these things that Russell Westbrook actually does a really good job at doing? Because he's not actually a great assist guy, because he averages 4, 5, 6 turnovers a fucking game, even though he averages 10, 11, 12 assists. So that's really only 5 to 7 assists a game, which is not bad.
at least.
So what? So what is it that? What are the things that Russell Westbrook does great? Because he turns the ball over. He's not a great assist guy. He's not necessarily a great rebounder because he takes rebounds away from his power forwards and centers. He's a stat pattern. He's not a great orchestrator of the offense. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great or even a good defender. He can try hard sometimes. Sometimes he can, but he's not great at it or even good. Not even considerably good, like to any margin. He has the ball far too much. So what are the things that you can say that he does good necessarily?
Mildly surprised by the almost universal panning of this trade. So I think it'll work better than most people think it will work. So let's talk about the nuts and bolts of this. First of all,
wait a minute. What do you mean you think that it'll work better than most people would? Because most people are having these people as unprohibited favorites to come out the West. Especially because Kawhi Leonard is down, Klay Thompson still isn't coming back, but these guys forgot that Steph Curry was on a tear last year. And those guys, Steph Curry is actually a really good leader, so those guys should be looking a lot better. The Suns, the Jazz were still atop the madness last year. You still got Nikola Jokic and those guys, the Jazz. No, not the Jazz. You still got with the Nuggets. Yeah, he plays for the Nuggets. So, there's going to be a lot of, and the Clippers too, even without Kawhi Leonard. But they're going to be a better team. So what do you think is going to be, most people think that these teams are going to be atop the Western Conference still. The prohibitive favors to come out the Western Conference. Even though it's going to be a lot of competition in the Western Conference. So what do you mean you think it's going to work better? So you think that they're not going to have any flaws whatsoever? Because most people think that they're going to have a few flaws. They might have a slow start, or they're going to have a slow start. But they're going to figure it out, and they see this team winning 55-plus games. I don't see it happening. I don't see this team winning 45 games, if I'm being completely honest.
If LeBron and Anthony Davis make it to the playoffs healthy, the Lakers are massive favorites to win the West.
Well, they made it to the playoffs last year healthy. And they got smoked out the fucking first round. So I'm just saying, are you sure about that? They made it to the they made it to the playoffs healthy last season. Remember, LeBron James was saying, "Oh, I felt greater than I've ever felt." LeBron James, he got hurt and hurt his ankle and rolled his ankle over, and he was saying that this is the greatest I've ever felt. And when it comes when it comes to this season, it should be, not even a breeze, but beware of the train. There's a big train coming back, and Anthony Davis was coming back, and they're both coming back 100%. But then it come to show when Anthony Davis wasn't 100%, but he just showed that he's a Mr. Glass, But then they put all of it on Anthony Davis. Oh, we weren't healthy last season, even though LeBron James said that they were completely healthy, and they were resting the fuck out of these guys. And we don't want to talk about how they clearly, openly avoided the Clippers, but they wanted to talk about how the Clippers were allegedly avoiding the Lakers. When I already told you guys, I did a few videos on exactly what the Clippers were going to do, and they stuck to it and they did it. All right. Only thing is the Lakers didn't hold up their end of the bargain. The Clippers took out all of the top teams of the Western Conference. All right, and they went 6 games without their best player, and they could have easily won those first 2 games, and that could have went in the favor of the Clippers easily, even without Kawhi Leonard. But we showed that they need but when you have Kawhi Leonard, that series most likely isn't even competitive, because those games were lost by a margin of for the first 2 or 3 games, the margin was only 6 or 7 points. So you think if Kawhi Leonard is playing those, you think if Kawhi Leonard plays those games, man, not even those first 2 games, but even if he misses the first 2 because Chris Paul wasn't there too, right? So even if Kawhi Leonard is there for those other games, you think Kawhi Leonard doesn't make up because he was averaging 33 a game, 30 something a game, and he wasn't even averaging 20 shots a game on 20 shot attempts. He wasn't. He was extremely efficient. He was the most efficient player in the playoffs. The man was shooting 58% from the fucking field, man. 58% from the field. Who's going to stop Kawhi Leonard on that team? So, and even with them having, with them not having their big man being Serge Ibaka. Even with them not having their big man being Serge Ibaka, Kawhi Leonard showed that he was able to get it done. So at this point in time, when it comes to these guys, even if they are healthy, how can you say that they're prohibitive favorites? Because once again, they did the same thing last season.
And this helps LeBron and Anthony Davis make it to the playoffs healthy, because Russ can win games for you by himself in the regular season.
Yeah, and once again, this is going to be the entire narrative that they're pushing for them to try to make it fit. He can go out there and win you games because, he doesn't miss games. Last time he missed when was the last time Russell Westbrook even missed a fucking game? He always plays the full length of a season. So he's going to help, LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and especially with LeBron James' stat pattern, because he's not going to have to play necessarily, quote-unquote, on the ball. But it's not going to work because Russell Westbrook is the system, as Shannon Sharp said.
That's the first point. Second point is, the more minutes Anthony Davis plays at center,
and last year, that was a great shot when LeBron James hit that 3. That was a wonderful shot.
The better the Lakers are, and this will force Anthony Davis to play more minutes at center.
No, it's not. It's not going to force Anthony Davis to play more minutes at center, because he understands that with Russell Westbrook and LeBron out there, he can go out there and just fake injuries. Or not even fake injuries, because I don't want to say that he fakes injuries, because he's just extremely soft. Anthony Davis is just extremely soft, and he's going to get hurt whatsoever. But he knows that he can go out there, and if he sees LeBron James, taking games off, Anthony Davis is going to do the same thing.
That's a positive. That's the second point. And the last point is, when we're talking...
It's not really a good point, exactly. As you heard, whoever that was probably Brandon Marshall in the background. Because that's not necessarily a good point. We already know that's why you have to bring up the health. And Russell Westbrook cannot win you games because he was only able to win you 35 games last year.
About a trade, you've got to discuss what was given up. So what the Lakers gave up was Montrezl Harrell, who was going to leave for nothing, Kyle Kuzma, who I don't know if he accepted it, but I sent him a Venmo to help pay for his packing, and KCP, who's useful. They traded one useful rotation player for...
And that's disrespectful. Kyle Kuzma is actually a really good piece. If you guys remember, they were saying that he was going to be better than Jason Tatum. We shown that wasn't true. That wasn't going to come in fruition whatsoever. But he can at least be an 18, 21 point per game scorer. but playing with LeBron James, he wasn't that. So they're disrespecting him. But we all saw that Montrezl Harrell had a how good he was with the Clippers. But when the Clippers didn't want him anymore, they just took on that old baggage. So
Russell Westbrook, and I like KCP. Russ is better. And so in all those regards, I think this is a net positive for the Lakers.
wow, terrible points.
And I like Buddy Hield as much as the next guy, Brandon, probably more than the next guy. But I would be a little nervous about Buddy because he's never played in a big game in the NBA. Never played.
And that's the thing. But when you get a young guy like that who's actually playing in Sacramento, which is in California, he's not used to the big lights and everything. But you can get him used to the big lights. It's a long season, so we can get used to that. He's not gonna be that off a rip, but you can get him used to that. And he already is not necessarily catch and shoot scorer or shooter, but he's a 3-point shooter and he can shoot. So you're gonna need that. So regardless, he's gonna get used to the big lights. And he's really the main of the helm on that team, him and De'Aaron Fox. So